I welcome you all to our Certified DevOps Engineer free live training program. This is our roadmap, and according to it, we have completed Day 1 Linux for DevOps, Day 2 ABCs of DevOps, Day 3 version control system. And today we are going to level up our game, Software Automation Orchestrator. I want to take a moment to talk about our training and development opportunities. For those of you tuning in later, don't forget to mark your calendar for our next free live training session. More details will be available soon. And we have also changed our training registration process. Instead of QR code, there is a direct link in the description or comment section right below the title of this video once it is uploaded like this. So this is our day first part 3 video, and here we already have this link over here. So here is a quick look at our training registration form looks like, and as you can see, it's straightforward and easy to fill out. Just click on the link to get started. Additionally, I must emphasize that our training is entirely free and will never ask for any payment or any fees. Please be vigilant and avoid any request for payment claimed to be associated with our program. If you encountered such requests, report them to us. Thank you very much. And I also want to personally acknowledge and thank each and every one of you for your love, your support, your participation, your enthusiasm truly make this session special and rewarding. It's your energy and commitment that inspire us to continue providing this valuable training opportunity. Last thing on this note, so all these are our social media link which are now ready. So feel free to join. What we will cover today. Let's see. So this is our overall agenda for this day 4. We have given our each section or each part theme, the warrior, gladiator, champions, and titans. I discussed this in very detail in previous section. Let's quickly recap what we have seen in last section. In warrior section, we have already seen what Jenkins is, and how we also seen Jenkins installation. We did the walkthrough, what are the options available once we install and configure Jenkins on our local system. So this is our dashboard, what we can see, where we can see how we can create a job, what are the various features available with the Jenkins we discussed in last section. Then we also talk about which kind of jobs available we can create in Jenkins, and in last session we created freestyle job, and we also deploy Java based web application using the freestyle job. We also discussed in detail, as a DevOps engineer, what is our responsibility. I also talk about the Jenkins workflow, so that's what we discussed in previous session. And today's theme is gladiators, so now it's time to transform ourselves from warrior to gladiator. In this, our complete focus on how this distributed system or distributed architecture of the Jenkins, how this is set up, how we, or not we, how Jenkins actually distributes all these jobs to slave. And additionally, we will also talk about the pipeline, how it works actually. So let's go ahead and see. So So first thing first was distributed means. Distributed here it's a different in Jenkins. It is not like we have distributed system, Git and GitHub section where we discuss what is distributed means. So here in Jenkins, distributed means completely different. Here we are talking about distributed build. Here distributed, it means it's based on the master-slave relationship. Let's say this Jenkins is a master or primary machine, and these are the agents. So it is not cluster. Remember this thing. Many people think this distributed build, it means it's a clustering. No, clustering is a different thing. Of course, if you want, you can set it as a high availability in a cluster where you need to have separate database, multiple machines, so multiple setup of Jenkins itself. When one server goes down, automatically another server will take over on that. So here, don't be confused, we are going to set up a cluster. No, we are not going to set up a cluster. Instead, we are going to make or I would say this distributed means not like the traditional distributed system. Okay, so let's go ahead and see this. So In last time, we had our virtual machine, right? We had Ubuntu installed, and on top of that, we installed the Jenkins in that, and that was our setup. And once we have this setup, and then Jenkins started doing its job, right? So Jenkins was responsible to doing the building, testing, deploying, and we also saw the logs. We also saw the build queues, right? When we set up a project, so UI is also part of everything on simple at one machine. So Jenkins has been doing very good job since long time. Then I took a executive decision to promote him as a head of the automation. And then after some time, Jenkins realized before I had only doing this many work. Now I have more load. I have more work to do. So I need extra hand. Then it went to the management. It asked for the more system. It says I need extra hand. Then I approved. I said, okay, you can take one more. Then in that it has one more machine. Now it has transferred, it's not all the workload, okay, some of the workload, so let's say building, testing and deploying, to another machine. So this is what happened when we add another machine. So this is simple, one additional machine, you could say the server. We will see what these things can be, but for time being consider this, these are as a just server. We will see how we do this in action, but first we understand the concept. And once this is done, then Jenkins said, now I will do some other stuff and rest of the things will be taken care by my new teammate. Still, he is head of the automation and he has other responsibility to perform. So that's what he is doing over here. And after that, more workload. Then he asked for the more system. Then we added, or we provided the more system to this. So this can be virtual, this can be physical, depending on the use case to use case. So in this case, what happened when it has a more system? So it can distribute its task to its agent. This is also possible. All this thing can be executed at one machine. This, it is also possible that it can distribute all this task. You maybe have a use case where, for example, for building you need a Windows machine, for testing you need a, these are the hypothetical case, right? But I'm just telling you, these are the possibility, or these are the use case when do you need to set up extra or Jenkins slave. So in this case, for building we need a Windows machine. We know it's better to manage Jenkins on Linux machine, so that's why we configure. Or when we join a company, we don't know who has already configured Jenkins on Ubuntu. But now use cases change, company got some requirement. Let's say you are, instead of building, you are taking backup of or performing some of the PowerShell scripts, and then you have to execute on some of the Windows machine. So in that case you need some Windows, so you cannot make a change, but you can add additional system into the existing system, and you can enhance the functionality of the, or I would say you extend the working way of the Jenkins itself. So that what's happened in this case. When you have to perform testing or do some of the job, you can have this as an extra machine or as an agent machine, can be on Mac or and can be on the, or like let's say after doing all these things you need to deploy on the Linux server, then you can set up this agent as a Linux. So these are the possibility. So it is not limited to this. You can set up any kind of slave machines, including all these things. So yes, of course these have different use cases, okay, and in this, so maybe you can set up your slave in data center on any of the cloud or bare metal or Kubernetes or Jenkins, or I would say these are more static, right? We will see when we configure this. So these are more static nodes, and these are more dynamic. These are like more on demand. You really don't care about maintaining all these things. I need a, let's say for node Docker image, or I have to spin up, or I need to spin up an agent that runs node related stuff, so I can dynamically, or I can provide a template and save into the Jenkins master node, and when I need it automatically spin up on the runtime, and when the task is done, container will be destroyed there themselves. Same case can be possible in the cloud, same thing can be possible in the Kubernetes itself, right? But these are more static, so there is a trade-off, but more popular choice, I would say, the dynamic agent. These are the possibility you can configure anywhere, so it is not restricted with this the platform or what kind of machine you have. So let's see next what. So in this setup, this is called Yes, of course, I'm saying it as a master. And and when we have like this setup, right, so this one is the official, I mean, it used to be or formerly known as a master, but now it is called as a Jenkins controller. So especially pay attention when you appear in interview. I mean, of course, no, nobody is going to uh, give you anything or tell you anything or say anything, but it's better when you appear in interview, use the word Jenkins controller or Jenkins controller or controller agent setup, right? So instead of saying this, we call this as a Jenkins. So this machine is called as a Jenkins controller, and this machine is called as a Jenkins agent. So we may have many agents. We already saw where we can add more agents. So there are possibilities, but in this diagram, so it's just for the demonstration, right? So it can be static, it can be dynamic, but just for the understanding, we are saying, okay, this is the architecture of the distributed build in Jenkins. Another thing, how you decide which is going to be controller. So if this would be a question for you in an interview, so simply you can answer where you install first time Jenkins. That will automatically become your controller, because all the configuration, every files are there. It is also possible you can migrate later on, right? Or let's say initially you start the installation of Jenkins on this machine, but this machine is really not powerful, and later you add agent, right, and performing lot of the tasks is still good, but still you want, okay, we are not happy with this, it's a 20 years old now, we have very fancy hardware, you want to move that. So you can migrate, and so wherever you migrate all the data of the Jenkins, that machine can be considered or maybe transformed into a controller. But simple answer, where we first time install Jenkins, okay, that machine is automatically promoted or considered as a controller. So it's very simple, right? In company, if nobody is there, only one person has joined initially, and later on more people join the team, then the first person consider or act as a team lead, and automatically everybody has accepted, okay, or the person themselves promoted as a or act as a team lead. So it's the same case where we install the Jenkins, that is our controller machine. Rest of other things which we are adding, that those are called as a agent. So agent can be dynamic, agent can be static or permanent. So in Jenkins world it says permanent agent and dynamic agent. Okay, dynamic agent are more um, better when we start this our champion part, then we will talk that in more detail, but those are considered as a dynamic. When you need it, you will get it, and once the job is done, you get rid of them. That's simple. So before I go ahead further and talk about this thing, do you have any questions, guys? If you have any questions, just interrupt me, or maybe you put in a chat. Okay, okay. Dikshit, thank you very much. So let's go back on the system where very first time we install Jenkins, right? So when we install very first time Jenkins, okay, all good, it is controller now. So what basically it is doing, the list is exhaustive, right? But I have taken some of the things. So it was performing scheduling build or job task, right? We also talk about this what job and task and project in previous section, so I'm not going to explain it again, right? So it perform schedule build, execute the builds, monitor the builds and or jobs, and it also records and present build results, managing UI, run the tests, run the deployment, run the scripts, monitoring, and so many other stuff. It is done. When we add one more machine, so controller will decide. So at the moment it has only one, but still controller decide, okay, should I schedule or not, or these tasks are schedulable or not. So it says okay, so it schedule this task from on this to on agent. Let's say this is agent one, so for run test and deployment it is using this one. When it has to run some kind of test, it will schedule the task on this agent. When we add more machine, then Jenkins work in a different way, because now it has more capacity. So it decided, okay, instead of it says, okay, already I have assigned this task to this, first agent. Now I can assign this to executive scripts or monitoring collected metrics to the agent 2. Similarly, it also performs the same thing for when we have more machines, right? So managing dependencies, generate reports, build artifacts. So this can be anywhere. This can be anywhere, but it is decided by the Jenkins. And still, if you see over here, so all the agents, once they are done with their work, they report back all their work to the controller machine. It's not like that they do work and they keep everything. No, everything they have to send back to the controller, and controller stores all those things, even including logs as well. Okay, so and then that's why now you see it's a dispatching build to the agent, and it has monitors the agent. So now these two tasks are different than the before. Okay, so the question is how Jenkins does this thing, how it knows which agent should it contact to. So very simple thing, for we glue kind of labeling, or we set up a labels, right? Or label, not levels, levels in controller, and these labels are glued to the agent as well. Okay, so we are referring, let's say instead of agent 1, agent 2, agent 3, so here Jenkins know, okay, which is agent 1, which is agent 2. So during when we do the configuration, we have to provide this information. So Jenkins knows this, and when we set up a pipeline or maybe freestyle job, right? So in that case, we provide this labels to use this particular machine. So let's say this agent 1 is very big machine. It has let's say 64 terabytes of RAM and 100 cores of CPU, and maybe 1 terabyte of GPU. Maybe it's too much, but it's okay, right? So in that kind of things, so we can do Jenkins know, okay, now I have to execute this command, this not this command, this particular pipeline, and this particular pipeline has this level. It means it has to schedule this to this one. If we don't do this, so there are other options as well, then Jenkins will take over. So there are both the possibility, right, where you decide, okay, Jenkins will do take a decision, or we want to do the decision. So maybe if these machines are in cloud, and you know there are different cloud vendors have their own different machines, and conveniently we use the same machine name, right? So we remember, okay, for this machine we have this many CPUs or RAM or storage or whatever. So that's how it works. So next question on this, do we, in this kind of setup, do we really need to go on each and every machine and install Jenkins on each machine? So it's not like that. Only in order to make any agent or any machine as an agent, right, with the controller, we only need a Java on this. So you can say simply these are server where we only need a Java. Once we have this thing, after that we are very good with that, and then we can connect everything, I mean all these machines with the controller. So that's what we do in distributed. So here distributed build means, okay, Jenkins is the one of the controller where we install initially the our Jenkins configuration, everything that automatically promoted or became as a controller. Rest machine for additional workload sharing, when we add them, so they can be added as a agent, right? Do you have any questions on this, guys? Yeah. So Pradeep has a question, GRE 11 or above. So that's what we discussed in our previous section, where I showed you on the requirement page, right? So they said, okay, understand, or what version do you need to install. So on this, yes, which version you are gonna do, you have to first go to the site, check the configuration. If the version you install on your system, you cannot upgrade, or you cannot go with the 21 or 11 or 7 or 8 or whatever. So you need to check which Jenkins version is compatible with your existing Java version. If you are setting up new, It's not like that you thought, okay, let's go ahead with the latest one, and you set up everything, and after that your application is not working. No, it doesn't go like this. And so you need to first check what are the capabilities, what you can install on this machine, right? Sometimes it happen, company has their own repository, they check, they test, they, until and unless security team says okay, now it's done, you can go ahead and use this version, right? So let's say 21 version is there, and instead of that, like Pradeep mentioned, Java JRE 11, so your security team already tested till Java 11, so you are not allowed to go ahead with the latest version. So you have to stick with this. It means you also have to stick with the what Jenkins version is supported with JRE, right? So you need to do that, and in that way you can set it up. So last time I also showed you this thing. I installed the Java. I used with the latest one, and additionally, yes, very good thing, Pradeep. Nice. So when we have this not Jenkins, our day 3 version control system part 2, I believe. Yeah, when I showed you how we install part 2 or 1, I don't remember exactly. But where when we installed by default sudo apt install get, then the version was different. And when we go to the official website and we edit the repository, right, in our Ubuntu system, then version was upgraded to I think 48, right? So that's how it differentiates. And I also explain you why this, so because Ubuntu, they did not check, I mean, it's not their time, so it might be in their plan, it will become later on, but it's just not like that. But if you want, you can download, because already Git team has tested on the 24 Ubuntu. So these things happen like that. So it is not literally you just won't go ahead on the website and you do your stuff. No, you need to check a lot of dependency in it. When it comes to the Java, it's all the Java applications are really sensitive, version sensitive. Okay, so always remember, whenever you are doing, always go ahead and check what are the prerequisites for that, what version it supports. Otherwise you will end up with a lot of troubleshooting, and system are not working with each other, and so many other problems. Okay, any other questions? Okay guys, so I take it as a no. So now you know what distributed means. So distributed build means, right? So, and this is your distributed build architecture, right? So now it's time to see how Jenkins distributed magic happen, right? So for this, we will go on directly to the console of the Jenkins, and we will set up this step by step, right? Great. This is the contact details, and thank you very much for your patience. I know I took a lot of time to explain, but this will be paid off.